Chapter 660. It took a considerable amount of time to discern that the grotesque mask before them was indeed a person, and to identify where the face was. This was not only due to the severely disfigured state of the figure, but also because its appearance was quite different from that of an ordinary human. Adorning its head was enormous antlers, while large wings protruded from its back. Its arms and legs were covered in thick, long feathers, making it difficult to discern their outline. Upon closer inspection, the face seemed to be a bizarre mix of human and beast. Yidr, who had encountered many awakeners with somewhat different appearances, rarely came across one with such a distinct and alien look. More precisely, it was the rarity that made this particular awakener memorable. It would be harder to forget someone with such a distinct appearance. Kishir, quickly noticing Yidr's subtle reaction upon recognizing the figure, silently mouthed a question. "Is it someone you know?" Yidr nodded slightly, yet noticeably enough for Kishir to discern. Which side? Whether they had been allies or enemies, Yidr pondered for a moment, gazing down at the groaning awakener in pain. Then he lightly wrote on the back of Kishir's hand. He was once a member of the cavalry, but he died early. The name of this awakener was Elkins. In his previous life, he had joined the cavalry only about a year after they had dismantled several illegal fighting rings in the south. He was known for his immense strength, peculiar appearance, and even more remarkable regenerative abilities, which had garnered high expectations in the Shin division. However, Elkins had a slight problem with his temperament. He would easily get overly excited over trivial matters, and once angered, would charge blindly into battle. His obsession with power was also much more intense compared to his peers. Probably his obsession comes from not wanting to be controlled, I guess, and also not having a place he can call home or people he could trust. So hopefully this version of Awakener's cavalry and Yidr give him a safe space so that he doesn't always have to be on guard. His tendency to lash out in excessive fights, often ignoring the advice of colleagues during team activities, always kept his reputation within the cavalry at rock bottom. There were several instances where he deliberately induced a rampage to accelerate his abilities. At least he knew to behave in front of me, but that was about it. Elkins, increasingly unable to control his rage, met a gruesome end during a mission unable to withstand another of his rampages. His regenerative abilities, which he had always relied on to save him from any peril, tragically failed him at that time. His death became a significant catalyst for Yidr to seriously acknowledge the dangers of an awakener's rampage. It also contributed to the establishment of norms within the cavalry, preventing members from recklessly inducing rampages for the sake of power. Yidr briefly conveyed this event to Kishir while still looking down at Elkins, who continued to suffer. I never mentioned that we met in the south in his previous life. Indeed, nobody would have wanted to admit being held captive in such a place. It was even less likely for the proud and fierce Elkins. In Yidr's memory, Elkins had always been able to freely use his regenerative abilities, but now he lay bloodied and unable to use them, a sight that unsettled Yidr. The suppressive power permeated this entire underground space must be hindering his regeneration abilities. Anyway, we must assess his condition. Yidr briefly glanced at Kishir before leaping down from the ceiling to approach the figure. Even as he drew near, Elkins seemed oblivious to his presence. Up close, Elkins' wounds were far more severe than they had appeared from a distance. His blood-stained wings were twisted and broken, and there wasn't a single unmarred limb. The feathers, originally white and blue, were more than half plucked out, leaving his skin tattered and torn. Oh, sounds super fucking painful. Oh, I cannot wait for these fuckers to die. Compared to these, the flattened and swollen nose and face seemed almost less severe. However, more than the wounds themselves, Yudhir's gaze was strongly drawn to the ragged piece of cloth that barely served as Elpkin's clothing. Made seemingly for the sole purpose of display rather than to cover or warm, the garment was a humiliating sight to behold. I had planned to demolish this place after participating in tomorrow's fight, but the thought of having to fight in such attire makes me want to hasten my plans. Yet, it was this tattered cloth that revealed something significant. Yudhir exhaled softly upon noticing Elpkin's deep wounds trying to close, unsuccessfully fusing and then halting repeatedly. Even under the suppression of his powers, Elpkin's regenerative ability was struggling to surface, indicating its substantial strength. He certainly wasn't someone to die helplessly in such a place. Kishir, who had landed beside Yudhir, murmured in a low voice, His condition is not good. He needs immediate treatment. Kishir was not one to easily show emotion, but his tone conveyed a clear message. He too had seen and deduced the same things as Yudhir, and this evidently led a significant accumulation of discontent towards the fighting ring. Fortunately, he is recovering slowly. Even so, prolonging his pain is no good. Let me take over for a moment. Kishir, a possessor of great divine power, rarely used it outside of treating Yudhir, to the extent that it was almost half forgotten that he possessed such ability. Are you sure you can manage? I tested earlier and found that the suppressive powers here strongly restrains the power of the Awakener, but doesn't affect other powers as much. Treating him won't be a problem, however. Kishir began to emit a dazzling white light from his fingertips, muttering to himself. Given the severity of his condition, this will use a lot of my power, so I might not be much help afterward. That was not an issue. Even if Kishir did nothing, Yudhir could take action, and having him on his side would be more comforting. However, if Kishir overexerted himself to the point of harming his own health, that would be a serious concern. I trust he won't overuse his power, but I'm still worried. To feel more anxious about others' well-being was unusual for Yudhir, especially concerning Kishir. It was a strange and unsettling feeling given his usually uneventful life. Be careful. Yudhir spoke briefly before stepping back. Soon, Kishir began to earnestly channel his divine power, initiating the healing process of Elpkin's. It took a considerable amount of time before the light finally faded. It's done. That's all I can do for now. Kishir spoke thus, but Elpkin's, upon the completion of the healing, appeared almost fully restored on the outside. The external fractures and wounds are mostly healed, but even considering his regenerative abilities, it will still take a few more days of treatment to fully recover. Kishir, after taking a deep breath, staggered as he stepped back. Yudhir quickly supported him, noticing the man's face had turned significantly paler in just a short time. Are you alright? It's just a misstep, but your concern is so great, it makes me want to stay like this. This is no time for jokes. Hearing Yudhir's cold yet worried voice, the man smiled broadly. He then leaned his head against Yudhir's hair. Of all the powers I possess, this one seems to suit me the least. Even I can't be compatible with everything. ... But isn't the sense of fulfillment after using such a power undeniable? I don't want to hide and never use the power I have. If there is someone in need, it should be used. Yudhir looked up at Kishir and after a moment nodded with difficulty. You, who are you? Just then, Elpkins finally opened his eyes. Regaining consciousness, he was momentarily frightened by the strangers before him, but soon his surprise turned to astonishment upon realizing his body was fully healed. I was seriously injured from today's defeat. How did this happen? Did you heal me? Yes. How? No one is supposed to be able to use their powers here. That's a secret. Kishir silently smiled and placed a finger over his lips. Realizing that these strangers had indeed healed him, Elpkins did not press further on how he had been treated. Instead, he scanned Yether and Cashier with a look of weary yet trembling eyes. "You're not part of the Nukijo gang, are you?" "No, we are not,"